I need to get way closer this time. Yeah, it's good. We're just waiting for someone to say something in the chat room that says, hey, we're doing this. Oh, there we go.
All right, cool.
Welcome back. This is Regular Car Reviews Podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Nick.
I have a slight throat infection, hence the frog voice. And it's something you've heard in this Monday's video. And you will hear in next week's video because I recorded it yesterday. So there's going to be this thing going on. It didn't help that I went out on Saturday night to Lancaster Brewing Company, and error message on the computer. Windows computers.
It's doing that automatic restart.
No, you can restart 4 hours from now. Thank you very
just
much.
said restart now.
Oh no! I dad clicked. What are we going to do?
Cancel.
Cancel. Did it happen? Are you sure you want to exit? No.
Right.
Oh, are we starting over again?
Yep.
I think we are. Well, the people who are listening to this on iTunes get to hear what happened in the meantime.
Yeah.
So while I get this thing back up and running.
Well, wait, I think we're still...
Are we still podcasting? Wait, there's going to be a delay.
There is going to be a delay, but let me...
Well, while you're doing that, I'm just going to go back to YouTube again and see. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. We're still going.
Yeah, we're still going.
Okay.
Hey. All right, cool. Yeah.
Are we sure we're going? Oh, yeah. It says we're on.
Yeah, but Lancaster Brewing Company, how'd that go?
That was me posting a tweet that said, I need to be uncomfortably social. So away I went to Lancaster Brewing Company and had a good night. I forgot my credit card. Can I lean back doing this? Do I have the articulation with this mic stand? Do I have more articulation? There we go. That seems good.
Let's get that bro lean in.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Do I have more articulation? Yeah, that's close enough. I can kind of see the screen from here. So,
Nice.
I forgot my credit card. Realizing I'm gonna have a night out of local brews. I get to the bar. I order a beer, open my wallet, and see the empty space where my credit card normally is. And then I go, oh no. So I open my cash portion of the wallet and see dollar bills in there.
Yeah.
They're all singles. So the beer was $5 and I had $6. And I'm like, well, okay, we're good now. I got a beer. And then people started coming up. And, that was my cough drop.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
That I just pulled off the couch.
I was like, wait,
that
why
left
are you...
a residue. Whatever.
Yeah.
I got an immune system.
Yeah.
Or maybe this is why my tonsils are swollen. And they've been swollen for a week.
Oh, you haven't had your tonsils out either?
No.
No, neither have I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they, they hurt and they swell and then they stay swollen. So I PayPal'd a girl named Sam $50 on PayPal. I'm like, look, here's PayPal. This will cover everything. She said, we could cover you or something like that. And I felt sheepish how everybody just said, well, we'll cover you, Mr. Regular. I'm like, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
So I PayPal'd her $50 and just said, and I think I spent like 20 or something. Because I think I had 2 beers. People kept coming in. I saw my good friend Jess, and then we started talking. And then I also invited an OkCupid date to the car meet.
Nice.
And here's why I did that, because I think I'm more entertaining when there's other people around than I am just one-on-one, because I just, apart from here, because we're talking to people on the internet, but I just sort of shut down.
Yeah.
And I retreat back into my head, back into my notebook, and that's the real me. So I can act one-on-one like a more interesting version of myself, and that can work for 2 dates. And it's weird because I either don't talk about regular car reviews, or I do, and then the conversation becomes, so what's that like?
Yeah.
And then that is a good 2-hour conversation talking about the stuff we did. But does it come off as humble bragging?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I got back from New Zealand, when we got back and I got back home, a lot of the people would ask, "Oh, so how was New Zealand?" Because they knew, intellectually why I was out there, but it's also something where I didn't have anything to report. I mean, I had things to report, but a lot of it were conversations I didn't feel like having, because then you have to start way back at the front. And really, I just talked about, some of the differences, things that I could be done with inside of 90 seconds. And then we can just move on, because I don't feel like talking about it. Not because it was bad. It was quite the opposite. It was wonderful. But I don't feel like having a blow by blow of the vocal equivalent of making them all watch slides. You know what I mean? It's just not something that interests me to do or them to hear. So
I miss New Zealand dearly. I am coming back. It'll probably just be me, because I want to go to, because I didn't go to the South Island. It was, for most of the New Zealand trip, we saw New Zealand, but we saw it through the window of a moving car.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go and get exhausted. I had a very nice time hiking with Juliet and Bryce Johnson and their dog Tui.
Oh,
the eternal
Tahi.
Tahi.
Yeah.
The eternal fetching dog.
Yeah. Boing. Just goes over the fence.
I wish I had more footage of Tahi jumping over a barbed wire fence, or running through it sideways.
Yeah.
It would run in between the wires. I
just have one video, and throw the stick, or no, a ball. It was Juliet launching that ball into where the other animals were, and just boing, and just over. It's like, oh, there he goes.
The dog is some sort of sheep herding dog.
Yeah. That
always needs something to do.
Yeah.
And if bored, it will herd things. Were you there when? No, I think this was the day I think you stayed back at the Airbnb, and I was over at the Johnson's farm, and the dog started herding the cat, but it was just the dog and the cat in the living room. The cat was walking around being a cat, looking for a place to sit down, and doing that move where a cat isn't content with any of its surroundings, like, this chair, no, not this chair. Under the table, no, underneath the table. Just sort of prowling around its domain.
Yeah.
And Tahi wasn't having that. Like, you've got to be herded to a safe place. So the dog, mouth closed, head down, pointed, like, with its body at the cat. Wherever the cat was, the dog kept it in that spot. When the cat tried to move out of an invisible line, say a foot around it, the dog would go to the opposite side of the cat and say, no, you belong here. And it kept forcing, through proximity, the cat to stay in one place. Anytime it moved in one direction, the dog went around to that direction and put it back where it was.
Yeah.
herding the cat to this little spot by the table.
He did that with the piglets.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for the brief period of time that he could catch up with them, which I think he was just kind of letting them get away, but it was mostly they would try to, move to a certain part and get sort of scampered over into the far end of the little field. And I think, Tahi was just very active dog between the whole like jumping into the little swimming pool and always like dropping down the stick, looking up like what are we gonna do about this? Your balls in your court. Yeah. But yeah, it's very I think it's a kind of shepherding dog mentality of, hey, I'm going to do the thing that I'm really good at all the time and everywhere. Yeah. All the time and everywhere. And I asked Juliet about it, and she said, "Oh yeah, well, what Tahi wants is for the cat to lay down and not move, and once the dog is laying down and not moving, Tahi will be satisfied and then leave the room." And now the computer is saying, "Do you want to restart?" Like, so no. Postpone. Remind me in 4 hours. Postpone. There we go. It always picks the worst possible moment to do that. Yeah. But yeah. I miss New Zealand. What are people? Strangely enough, I kind of miss LA. This is the first time that I've been to LA, the coming back, where I actually realized I kind of like this place. Because we did the smoking tire. Yeah. And then after that, like, you went to go meet up with a friend. Yeah. And Aubriana Zerilligan. Yeah. She's not too big on social media unless I'm looking in the wrong place. Zach Clapman knows. Zach Clapman from the Smoking Tire knows Aubriana because they both went to Burning Man. Aubriana built, and we were talking about this with Matt, unless you weren't in the car, unless this is where before we were meeting up at the ramen place. Aubriana built a version of the Zoltar machine. You know that fortune telling machine? Yeah, from Big. Yeah. But instead of a facsimile of a man inside, it's a raptor called Zoltaraptor. And it works. Like, you turn the crank and it will give you a fortune, but all it does is scream at you. and then there's some mechanism inside that she made. Aubriana worked for Universal. So she was a set builder, and now she's going independent, although she's probably going to work like 1 or 2 days a week just to stay with the union. Yeah. And she says, I'm probably just going to be doing demolition, which is like breaking down set walls. Anyway, she built a little contraption so that after the raptor's done screaming at you, it'll kick out like a token or a piece of candy. Yeah. Kind of like a gumball machine. But she said you can also climb inside the machine because it's just like a raptor head and torso, and like the back of it is open. So you can crouch inside of this, look out through a piece of, what's that fabric that you can look through? It's like gauze or something. They have it on every stage, I think. I don't know if they had it at my school, where if you're backstage, you can look through the curtain out at the audience. I don't know. Anyway, you can do that, and there's a microphone, which you can then talk through the raptor, and the jaw is articulated. So it'll move up and down based on your volume. Nice. So, and she had some pictures of her at Burning Man, and like people freaking out and talking to this thing, and anyway, so that was Aubriana. So I went to visit her, and you had your own side thing. I had my own adventure. I went to the Peterson Automotive Museum because I'd never been there before, and it was kind of strange because I went there looking for the things that I had thought were there and they weren't there, like the gold-plated DeLorean or the Dale. And I didn't find those, but I did take the Vault tour, which was like an extra $30, but worth it just because you had these oddities like, Fred Astaire's 1923 Rolls Royce with his, top hat and cane in the trunk, which they didn't really open anyway, but had, you know, Nixon's Lincoln Continental, where if you shot at it, it would go through the window, and then the windows would darken. Just so basically you got one clear shot at the president.
Really?
And then it was, you know,
morbid.
Yeah, it's very morbid. And they had greased lightning with this wholly just non-functional sort of acrylic hood, which made no sense. But I guess, you know, showbiz. And I don't know, they had the Porsche 924-ish. I don't know. Tom Cruise learned to drive stick on it during Risky Business. Okay. It was just like a strange. They just had these little oddities. You know, this Porsche that was still before they renamed it the 911 for international things. It was just a very lively little experience. And then I ended up taking a trip down to the Walk of Fame because I was going to do all the touristy nonsense that, you know, because I'm like, I don't mind saying that when I travel, I'm kind of a tool about it, of like, I want to do all the stupid touristy things that you would want to do. And so I go down there, and the guy my Lyft driver drops me off at the Palladium. I think it's the Palladium. And there's a sold out show for the singer Dua Lipa, and she's British and on the up and up and whatever. And so there's like a line wrapping around, and as I'm walking, there is this guy with his back to sort of Sunset Boulevard, like right at the intersection. And I'm seeing, you know, liquid falling down. I'm kind of confused, and I'm thinking, like, he's not doing what I think he's doing with all these people in line around. And I turn, look to the side, and I catch an eyeful. I'm like, yep, that is a dick. I'm going to keep walking. I do not know what I expected, but yeah, he was like totally, you know, had his John whipped out and just taking a leak on the ground. And this is broad daylight, you know, just in the fullness of the late afternoon. And yeah, it was just kind of strange. And then by the same token, as I'm going down the like proper Walk of Fame with the little stars and everything, I see no less than probably like 4 people who look like John Leguizamo. It's really weird. It's just yeah. I went to this little bar whose name I can't even remember, and just sat there and got some good people watching in. Yeah. Because that's kind of, you know, it's strange because the Walk of Fame, like when you're looking around, because I dropped by the Pantages Theater, which is where the Oscars used to be held during the golden age of Hollywood, and they were doing Aladdin the musical there that night, so you couldn't really go in. But it just looks like any other stretch of city. Like there's nothing inherently Hollywood about it. It's just an LA place. You know, like if you've been to LA, like the outskirts, like we've been to before, then you've mostly been down in LA proper, if that can be called LA proper, right? Because it feels the same for the most part, you know. It almost doesn't feel as touristy down there as, say, the equivalent New York would.
When you go to Times Square, you know you're in some sort of nexus.
Yeah, that if you're from New York, this place is not for you. Yeah. This place is for the people who don't get to come here, who maybe they're only going to be here once. Right. You know, if ever. And, you know, it's going to be, oh, the thing from the thing. Yeah. And that's kind of how, I don't know, like, I mean, I didn't go to the Chinese theater or anything, but it was one of those, I felt like I saw a good amount of things. I got a free ticket to go to an L. Ron Hubbard museum, which as I was walking by, because I walked in looking for a bathroom and like a trash can. And so I had to feign interest in the building I walked into. 2P. Yeah, 2P. And I'm just kind of like looking around, and the clerk there is just like, oh, well, you know, and she gives me like a rundown of information about, you know, well, do you know about, are you familiar with L. Ron Hubbard, about his teachings? And behind her, there's like a wall of Dianetics books for sale. Yeah. And I'm just kind of like, I had to feign ignorance and just say, well, I've heard of them. I don't really know about the teachings. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, now you're opening a window for her to kind of, well, let me speak to you of the wonders. And but luckily she didn't do that. She just gave me a ticket because she's like, well, the museum it takes about an hour to do the tour. And I'm like, oh, well, I only have like 15 minutes before I get picked up, which wasn't true at all. But she just gave me like a ticket for another one. I still have it. It's like with my passport because I never got rid of it. So it's just something that's like in the leaflet, and it's
show it to me sometime. I'd like to see what that looks like.
Yeah, it's literally just kind of one of those things where, like, if you go down to any body shop around here, and it'll have those little things of like 25% off your Hershey Park ticket.
Okay,
but it's on richer stock, I guess. So it's nice, and it had this bust of L. Ron Hubbard's head and face, whatever. Against a backdrop, like an indoor waterfall.
Yeah.
That it was just kind of strange in that I was kind of interested of what does the tour even look like? Do they give you all these different projections? Well, I guess they wouldn't give you the origin story because you have to get to a certain level to hear it, but
is it going to be better or worse than the Coventry Transport Museum where invisible picketers yell at you? Yeah.
Oh, I feel persecuted. But also I'm getting an education. But yeah, that was my weird day. And then I met up with you and Matt at the ramen place,
yeah,
which was really good.
Yeah, like the calmness of New Zealand is difficult to find an analogy for within the US, but here we go. If you can recall the pleasantness of all the congregation as they leave Sunday service and are milling around in the narthex, the lobby of the church. Wait, the narthex? Is that the lobby? I don't know. The church lobby. And outside, as you pull around the Cadillac DeVille for Grandma to pick her up, how everyone is not feigning nicety. They're generally pleasant with each other because they just had this their weekly whatever you want to call church is. And a feeling of unity comes over you that you wish would stay for the entire week. In that moment, the pastor is still shaking hands with people. Some people are still in their choir robes. Little kids are running around, but they're not climbing on anything. It feels like it just rained, but the sun is shining. You're thinking about lunch, and it's 11 a.m. That is the feeling of New Zealand all the time.
Yeah, at all points the fullness of the day is ahead of you.
Yeah. Night comes as a by the way.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah.
Shit. Night comes as a by the way. Fuck.
We gotta find a.
I have my.
So what's the chat saying? I have no idea.
Night comes, New Zealand. Night comes as a by the way.
Someone asked if would the average American like New Zealand, which I can't imagine they wouldn't because it's foreign, but it's just familiar enough.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we went to the familiar side of it,
right,
rather than the side that's truly foreign, I suppose, in that I suppose not even I suppose, I would assume that we don't really have anything that would be like the South Island. I mean, right. We have our own lovely structures and natural formations, but I can't think that the land here in anywhere in the country would necessarily be as unspoiled.
Yeah.
So
the Grand Canyon, which I've never seen, which is a lie because my parents brought me when I was like 2.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what a kid has. A 2-year-old, do you even have that depth perception?
Probably
They
not.
told me all I did was pick up bottle caps.
Mm.
Because why wouldn't you? You're 2. That's what's in front of you, and they're They're colorful.
Yeah. You don't want to look at a giant chasm.
It's not doing anything.
Yeah.
That's the point. I have no concept of time. One month is 1/24 of my life.
Yeah. It's almost strange that that's the big, family vacation destination. I keep thinking back to, those Nickelodeon afternoons where there would always be an episode where somebody of whatever, where like we're going to the Grand Canyon, like with Doug, with Pete and Pete, and they get into the race with that other family of who's going to get to the Grand Canyon first. And it's just kind of, I mean, maybe if I were there, I would get it, but I don't think I'm going to get it because a lot of the times, I guess maybe just, nature doesn't do it for me. Because I was always kind of like an architecture person more than a nature guy.
Okay.
So when we were in, I think, Wellington, and we were passing all those Art Deco buildings.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It looks like the Rocketeer all the time. or like something out of Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. I don't know. I love, like, nature's nice. Like, I loved Piha Beach. And that other smaller beach that we went to with the, cove that didn't echo.
Yeah. That was still in like the Piha area.
Yeah. It was very, very nice.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful just sitting up in that little like rock formation that sort of laddered itself. But yeah, I don't know. Grand Canyon is just kind of a...
We flew over it.
Yeah.
Like, I think every time we go to LA, you fly over it or close to it, or you can see it. But if I went to the Grand Canyon, I'd be more interested in the hover-around riding Midwestern... sorry to knock on Midwest, but... when I think of families on vacation, that's kind of the TV trope, is somebody from Wisconsin.
Yeah, we're here. Yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah. With the one family member on the hover-around mobility scooter. Like, this is it. And they're trying to have a Kodak moment. No one says that anymore.
Yeah, that's right. That's one of those things of, do they even know what we mean anymore? What a Kodak moment is?
Yeah.
Oh,
there were, I forget where we were. Oh, my family went. Some of my family used to live out in Seattle, so we went to like Mount Rainier, and there were little plaques as you walked around the sort of big foresty area, with the redwoods and everything. And there were signs like, this is a good Kodak moment. Like, they'd put this little podium where a good view was. Like, you can take your picture here. And they had like a little diagram of people facing the correct way away from the sun, so they weren't backlit. Or facing into the sun, so you had your back to the sun. Stuff like that. I was talking to Corey Walton. For those watching, Corey Walton owns a Subaru Outback that was one of the first RCR videos, and she and I were college roommates in grad school. And she said when she came back from Sweden, the foreign depression, or when this isn't where I was feeling, she said it lasted like 2 months.
Yeah.
I hope the post New Zealand blues won't hang around into spring. Depends what the weather is. I kind of forgot about them those 2 warm days last week.
Yeah.
I rode my motorcycle a lot, so that helps. Anyway, We need to have like guests or something, but we do this in the middle of the day on Monday when all real people are at work.
Yeah, and there's no real consistency. Like, we could do it any time between Monday and Thursday.
One guy says quiet microphones. Well, really?
Eh.
I have the audio up all the way. I mean, I could turn them up more on the mixer down there. Main auxiliary. That's phones, main auxiliary. Hey, Jay says, have you been to 3Cs since you came back, since you mentioned it and that car wrecked into it? No, I didn't go back to 3Cs. 3Cs is now the only place around that does breakfast because the place I used to like closed. Yeah, they're still open. I see people in there. But man, I'll tell you what. Everywhere in New Zealand knows breakfast. Every single place we went into had their poached eggs and their eggs Benedict down.
Yeah.
It was Andrew or Caswell. Caswell. Yeah, that's right. I was calling Caswell, and everybody's so damn nice in New Zealand. No one corrected me. Caswell Parker. Burgundy Burnout says, when are you guys going to be ready to do more reviews in Pennsylvania? I'm headed there next month to see family, and we'll bring my O2 Firebird GNX. We're filming tomorrow. It's going to be our first dealer car. Yeah, only been doing this for 4 years, and now finally got a dealer car. I wonder why no dealers want anything to do with us. So,
yeah.
But you know, you're not. It's going to be a very good car to come. It's very American, so awesome. One guy asked, have you ever gotten emotional over selling or losing a car? I got emotional when I sold my MR2, but I got happy emotional in that I know it's right now my white MR2 is in Malibu, California, which I probably should have maybe gone visited while we were down there. Next time.
Well, we were in Malibu for like a cup of coffee.
Yeah, we went to Malibu Kitchen. You know, maybe we'll see someone famous, but we saw a really clean 944, and the guy behind the counter was like annoyed that he has customers. that was kind of like how his face looked. And
there was that Harley meet. It was just random in the middle of this parking lot, and I don't know. It was just kind of. The strangest part of that was me looking for half of being around me is me looking for a bathroom, because when you have IBS, you're always looking for a bathroom. But went into Chipotle, and apparently to access their bathroom, you need a key code that you get from your receipt.
Wow.
So, and then it's just very annoying. So I ended up finding this burger place where I could, take a leak instead, because I didn't want to be going in the street like the guy at the Palladium. So
Kakarine says, which is better for $25,000? A Porsche 996 or a 1965 Mustang Fastback? Those are two very different cars that do very different things. The 1965 Mustang Fastback is going to be welcome at every place you go, with the exception of a Porsche meet and maybe a Ferrari meet. The nice things about Mustangs, or any Mustang really, with the exception of maybe like the weird late 70s and early 80s 4-cylinders, all the parts are available, and Summit Racing exists, and that's a 1965. Open Summit Racing, there's everything. So that's going to be the cheaper, honestly, a classic Mustang. For as high price as they go, because they are Mustangs, you pick any part, and there's 5 different people competing for your dollar for replacement parts. So I'd say get the 65 Mustang Fastback. It's going to be way easier to sell it. I'm assuming you're in America. Carl Levine says, you guys still coming up on a Northeast tour? As of now, no. I'm gonna at some point, but as of now, no. Right now, Nick and I were talking before this. It may be just me. It may be both of us. at least me, is coming to Austin, but we're going to be spending a lot of time at Harris Hill Raceway to finally get me in a race car. So it's going to be us, hopefully, Steph Schrader, David McNewitt, I think, from Lemons, and that's going to be the last weekend in April. Someone up again asked me about Chicago. Yeah, Chicago. Chicago, I think, would be a fun thing for us to fly in and not film reviews. Because we already film reviews in Chicago and there wasn't much to do. I think Chicago would be neat just to take the GoPros.
Yeah.
And just go out there for a long weekend.
Rent one of those downtown bicycles. Just like, oh, we're bicycling through Chicago with cameras on our heads.
Or do something like that. Or I could take that and maybe like the chess cam.
Yeah.
And just sort of hang out in Chicago. What's his name with the Marauder? Dominic. Dominic with the Marauder. He lives in Chicago.
Yes, he does.
Mike Steinberg lives in Chicago. Who else lives out there?
Carol.
Kirill?
Kirill, I don't know how.
With the Conquest.
Yeah.
Lives out there, and his friend. So yeah, like have a vacation where we actually do vacation stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be nice. We can do that thing where we go separate ways. There'll be no problem getting rides. Find a nice embassy hotel. Actually, maybe we would stay north of Chicago. I think there's one near Mike's house. There's like a few Hilton brands that may be cheaper. And if people are around, you're like a half hour from the city.
Yeah.
So instead of staying in the city. Because Lyft exists and getting around is no problem if you don't mind spending a little dollar bills.
Yeah, I think LA kind of tamped down on whatever big city anxiety I might have had.
Yeah.
Because it seems far less daunting now. But I mean, again, it's like I've always been kind of a city guy anyway. Like one of my favorite places in the world is the friggin' Port Authority in New York City. Just
you
because
like that place.
I love that place. I don't
hate that place.
I don't even know why. I think it's because so much of it's a prelude to so many good times that I've had.
Okay.
But also kind of the hustle and bustle of there's a million different stories going on and everybody's going somewhere else, and some people are here for pleasure and others are just here because this is part of the grind. But I don't know. I've always liked the Port Authority.
Are your jokes making you laugh? No. I don't know what that question means.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for a regular boat review. I'll do it, and it's just me complaining that I don't like boats. One guy called Short Shift says, "Hi, I know this is a little different than the normal car questions because have you ever had any issues with demonetization?" No problems. More motorcycles. You will get that. We did one motorcycle in New Zealand, something we can't get in the US, and we'll also have to review one of these days when it gets warm my Suzuki DR650 that I bought.
Yeah.
So we've been going. Oh, there's only 38 minutes. I want to. It's kind of warm today, and it's kind of warm as in mid 50s, but it's sunny out, and I do want to take the Falcon for a spin. I would listen to you guys read books aloud. I can't get enough of your voices. What a kind thing to say.
Yeah, it's very nice. Thank you,
Matt Weiner. Alan Fisher says, would you ever do a train review? There was one person, and well, maybe more than one person, who said they had trains for us. I don't know. The logistics of filming it would be bizarre.
Let's get a follow train.
I think there'd be so many laws and safety laws concerning, can I get close to the track and film it as it goes by?
Yeah.
No. Well, you can be far away. Trains, since I have no memory of them, they're not part of my past. I look at them as trains. To me, I understand their incredible significance toward freight and national logistics, but trains to me is something that holds up. Trains are something that hold up traffic. I think it's kind of romantic to ride one. It's like an amusement park ride that isn't fast or exciting.
Yeah.
And it's something that makes people over 60 convulse. Oh, trains are a train is something that makes some needs to be better. A train is something which makes AARP cards. A train is something that makes someone. You'd have to compact this, but a train is something that makes older Pennsylvanians convulse with something nostalgia. Convulse with giddy nostalgia. Convulse. It needs to be a better word than aroused.
It aggravates the Mayberry gland.
Nice.
It's just, yeah. Like, we're back in the good old days. I went to the subreddit to see if there were any questions there, r/regular car reviews, and there's a dedicated thread called Ask RCR. This person, the game messer, just says, any advice for a substitute teacher? Because we've spoken.
Children can smell fear.
Pretty much.
All you have to do is act like a teacher. The good thing about being a substitute teacher is that your job is to hand out bathroom passes, hand out homework. I was able to ride on my authoritative voice. You walk in there dressed like a teacher, talking like a teacher, they'll accept you as a teacher. If you're wishy-washy at any point, kids are going to eat you alive. And the phrase, we can, was delivered. We had, when I went through the program for the Pennsylvania guest teacher program, which is like this 2-day thing you have to go through to be a substitute teacher. It's just a lip service thing. But on the last day, they had one student from the school board of one of the schools in the district come in and say, hi. I'm a student here, and he talked a little bit about the school, and then someone asks, what can you expect? And this 17-year-old young man just looked at a crowd of 40-year-olds and said, we can smell fear. If you're afraid, we're going to walk all over you. And some people try substitute teaching and they have forgotten what it's like to be a student, which I've never really grown up. So substituting was always easy because I could understand the frustration within students because goddamn, school sucks. It's terrible. And I think I acknowledge that. Like, a lot of this you don't need. But here's some things you do need. And suddenly the students sit up straighter. Like, oh, we're getting some real information here.
Yeah.
And you've said it, I've said it, and I've heard students say it from me. Wow, I really learned something today. Which is a gigantic insult to the American education system because so much of it is busy work to get you ready for the state tests.
Yeah.
And here I go on my soapbox again. If you want to save education, get rid of the education department and have every school operate under the directives of that building principal. The schools will be amazing. The downside of that is that a lot of people in Harrisburg a lot of people in your state are going to lose their jobs. They won't vote for someone who's going to eliminate a lot of do-nothing jobs in the state capital. Who also will not benefit from this are lazy teachers or teachers who are now phoning it in, or the type of people who realize that this was a mistake. This was a career mistake, but now they're hanging on with gritted teeth, eyes focused on their pension.
Yeah.
There's at least 3 teachers in every building who's just doing this for a pension. Sounded like a good idea, but they're not quitting because the money's good. So
it's weird as a substitute and as a tutor. Sorry, but it's my advice would always be don't be a hero. Of just go in there, do the hall passes and the bathroom passes and whatever, and just sort of, you're not there to, like, you're there to fill in, but you're not there to replace, in a sense that, like, you're not there to necessarily fill in the gaps for the teacher when they're not there, unless you're one of those long-term substitutes,
right?
Where she's out on maternity leave or he's out getting one of his snowboarding knee injuries fixed. But I don't know, it's just
a thing that happened to somebody.
No,
teacher was out for snowboarding,
but I just imagine that's something that would happen. I don't know why I imagine it would happen, but sure, let's go with that.
One guy in the comments there says, "Did you review a sheep in New Zealand?" Indeed, we did. It's going to be a very short review, but I think it's going to be last. Save that goodie for last.
Yeah. There was someone up top who asked, is something going on with Nick and Angela White? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
No, that's great. I love when she tweets my stuff. It's great. No, Angela White is a very, 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 very famous porn star who we tweet sometimes, back and forth. And I announced on that Amazon now does physical pressings of the RCR album, which I didn't realize. So I ordered one and got it in the mail in 2 days because being a Prime member is awesome. And I was just like, oh man, this is cool because it's me and a CD, but also I look on back and it's you're on it, and well, not your face, but I mean you're on the album, and my brother and my sister and all these other things, and my friend Brad, and it's just insane to me. And then Angela's like, oh, can I be your number one groupie? And there was some guy who came on like a jerk and was saying, oh,
don't feed the trolls.
Yeah, exactly. It's just you don't really want people to necessarily be, I don't know, just be cool.
Somebody is having fun in a way I don't like.
Yeah, pretty much that. And it's just people just need to shut up for the most part. I don't know, just be cool to each other. It's not hard, shouldn't be hard, but alas, here we are.
What's my opinion on charter schools? My opinion on charter schools is that they are only as good as the staff who staffs them. Sometimes they're better than public schools, sometimes they're not. Charter schools are like Lyft drivers. Some are good, some suck ass. Some don't want to do it. Like weird grumpy guy that took us to LAX. He was all right. I think I rated him a 4 out of 5 though. When we were leaving LA, coming back, he made some awkward joke about typical America. One guy digging a hole, 4 people watching.
Okay, yeah, I remember him now. Yeah.
And then he was honking at people, and
he got very annoyed. Although I can't really.
He was making airport runs.
Yeah. I mean, the guy that he honked at kind of had it coming, in the sense that they weren't really indicating, and then they just sort of went for it.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, but I'm not entirely sure I do. It was strange because it was a rotating, a revolving door of Lyft drivers.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to keep any of it straight after a while of just, it's crazy now that, even a few years ago, that wasn't an option. You had to go for a taxi cab.
Yeah.
And you'd end up waiting forever to get picked up, and then, paying an exorbitant rate. I mean, it cost me maybe $20 to get to you at the ramen place.
Yeah.
And that was
across town.
Yeah. And
that was from Hollywood to wherever we were. I don't know where we were.
Yeah. I remember I went to Rochester on New Year's Eve, and the Uber to go 15 miles was something like $50 because it was
it was New Year's.
Yeah, it was New Year's, so it was surge pricing. But it was also this thing of where I wonder if I'd have gotten better rate with Lyft because I didn't have Lyft at the time. So it's something that, I don't know.
I don't know.
Ride sharing companies, it is what it is. But I mean, I still paid less than I would have with a taxi cab, probably. Of just because then, tipping isn't made easy on your phone.
Yeah.
You got to have like singles on you and money and things. I don't know.
Everybody keeps asking what happened to the intern. He completed his internship and now Ben Wright is doing his own things. One guy asked, how's Red Betty?
Fine. I took her in for inspection last week for state inspection because her sticker's up and had to get new brakes. Wait, no, new rotors, new serpentine belt, whatever.
Yeah.
And new shocks. So I don't know. I just paid to have it done because it's like how are you not gonna just pay to have it done? It's got to pass. And luckily my mechanic never has jerked me around about anything. It's just kind of saying, well, this is what needs to be done. And it's always the best sort of rate because I've gone and gotten second opinions before, which, it is what it is. Like when the fan broke in the damn thing. And I was just kind of, I don't know, like I got comfortable with my one spot. So I have a guy and, it's better to have a guy than to constantly be shopping around because after a while, when you build in a sort of consumer loyalty, you don't have to worry that they're jerking you around. Now, it could be like that episode of King of the Hill where Hank realizes later that the guy has been screwing him for 25 years by having him pay sticker price and making him think he was getting a deal. But, that's future Nick's problem. Like, if I'm getting screwed, it's just, and future Nick, he's whatever. I don't know that guy. So yeah, Red Betty's doing fine. And it's kind of I don't know. She's running well, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I still gotta go to like Aukies or something like that and see if I can find you a new armrest for the center thing.
Yeah, because the little pad for the armrest in the center console just kind of came off, and
I bet that's gonna be like $10 or something.
Yeah,
unless I have to unbolt the whole assembly.
Except my arm isn't there enough for me to ever notice. The only time I go in there is the only cigarette lighter, the only working cigarette lighter is in there, and I need that for the car charger,
right?
And to plug in my phone to listen to things. So
hey, we're coming up here on an hour. It's sunny out, and I want to drive the Falcon a little bit before it clouds up again. Any particular questions? I'll ask them now. I know the weather is getting better because I just see the most dangerous car, no demand, beautiful. I don't know what that means. What's your opinion on Mazda 3s? I want a Fiesta, but I want to pay less. I don't know, what is it? Public versus homeschooling. Do you think it gets a better education? How good are your parents, right?
I wish Roman was more concise. I do too. Gonna review a Trackhawk.
You gonna anything big for 500,000? What? I don't know what that means.
Oh, for 500,000 subscribers, since we're like 11,000 away.
Really?
Yeah. So they're trying to.
We'll think of something.
Hey,
What is the book? Okay. In one of the original RCR videos, there's this joke about the book, and I can't think about it. The book that you see stop motion animating its way toward the screen is actually a old history book on Gettysburg, and I can't find that anywhere. The book disappeared. I pulled it off the shelf at my parents' house and it was like History of Gettysburg because it was an old book, like from like the 1930s or something like that. How about reviewing? Do you want to review this? Do you want to review that? Been sub for years. Thank you for all the community commentary. Thank you. I appreciate you answering my question about Red Betty. I think every podcast you answer every time, like that. Thoughts on this car? Thoughts on that car? What is your unicorn car? I bought it. It was the MR2. You pick one car that is your dream. I want to hear yours and Roman's. Like some super thing. I found it. The MR2, and it was good, and it was terrible as a road trip car. And I realized that that's the majority of what I do, is road tripping. The foreignness of Holden Commodores is now gone after being in New Zealand, but again, there is no nice big four-door highway car that's fun in manual that we have. So just last night I was looking at them on Search Tempest. There's one for sale in like Conshohocken for like $28,000. It's automatic, so I'm not buying it. And it has an R title, which meant it was probably crashed into something lightly and then rebuilt.
Yeah.
I have no problem if it's a car I really want with an R title, if I just know what the accident was.
Yeah.
You rarely have diesels in your videos. Are they just so rare? Well, usually they're trucks out here, or occasionally, a diesel Jetta, but Dieselgate stopped that. So it's just a matter of who has one. I got to go out of my way to just... We'll do a Cummins, and we'll make the Cummins jokes. So Chevy SS, essentially. Can it be had in manual? Of course it can be had in manual. I've yet to drive it. There's one waiting for me out in Pittsburgh to review. I am going to be in Pittsburgh, I think the second weekend in April. I'm going to see the Slackers at Mr. Small's. And do I want to film that SS while I'm out there? I may do it solo. Well, Justin Lose will be out there, so and Tim Strickler probably would be game, so I would really need Justin Lose to do that, because my cars stick and then that sticks. So yeah, I could drive the Falcon out. It may be still cool enough that I'd be comfortable enough driving that car out there. I've never done the Falcon in a Pittsburgh run, and I kind of want to do it then. My favorite beater car. A car to just bang the crap out of. A car that I don't feel bad if it gets hurt. Pontiac Grand Am.
Nice.
Definitely something like that. Like 2001 Pontiac Grand Am, Grand Prix, Oldsmobile Alero, Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra. Don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Cutlass Sierras are a dime a dozen around here.
Yeah.
Ubiquitous.
Okay, Chevy SS and Pontiac G8, pretty much the same thing. Different generations. Pontiac, like the interior of an SS is like 3 levels higher than a G8. A G8, unfortunately, as nice as it is, and as nice as, it's an LS engine, so there you go, but it's still early 2000s GM, man. In that interior, it's as nice as it can be. And it's not really a fault of the car, it's just, it was born in the wrong decade. Grand Am was a tragic car. Okay. Thank you very much for everybody else hanging out. I will get a point of view of that Crown. Probably up tonight for tomorrow or something like that. Yeah,
and then probably RCR stories on Wednesday, because I'll either have it to you tonight or tomorrow, probably tomorrow. Okay. So anyway, I'm Nick.
I'm Brian.
Thanks for chilling with us.
Yep. Have a good week.
You too.
Bye.
Yeah.